Okay, this is question 15 on the higher non-calculator paper. This, straight away from its appearance, is a cumulative frequency question. But let's read the question carefully before we go through it. Harry grows tomatoes. This year he put his tomato plants into two groups, Group A and Group B. Harry gave fertilizer to the tomato plants in Group A. He did not, so he gave fertilizer to Group A and he did not give fertilizer to Group B. Harry weighed 60 tomatoes from Group A. The cumulative frequency graph shows some information about the weights, about these weights. And if I go to the question down here, sorry if I just raise this up, so zoom in on this. Okay, so part A says, use the graph to find an estimate of the median weight. So use it to find an estimate of the median weight. So from a cumulative frequency graph, if you want to work out the median, it's pretty straightforward, and you should know this. This is something you need to remember. There were 60 plants. They told us that in the question. This is the cumulative frequency side. The median is the weight of the one in the middle, so half of 60. So half of 60 is 30. So to find the median weight, I'm going to go across from 30. You need to draw these lines in. Make sure these are shown, right? And this is a pretty straightforward mark to get. The median weight is the weight that you come through when you read the graph of the cumulative frequency graph, and in this case the median weight is 170 grams. And if I move this up so you can see the answer space, in the answer space I'm going to write 170, and they've already put the G for grams. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy and quick mark to get. Make sure you get it. Okay, this is part B. So on the next page, so part B of the question says 60 tomatoes from Group A had a minimum weight of 153 grams. So minimum weight and maximum weight of 186 gram. Use the information and the cumulative frequency graph to draw a box plot. So you need to use that information that they've given you and the cumulative frequency graph. Now from the cumulative frequency graph, we've already worked out that the median is 70. So I'm going to draw my median line, my cumulative frequency box here, and I'm going to sort of take care to, I'm going to draw it centered around this line here in the center, and it doesn't need to be a work of art, but I'm going to try to make sure it's neat and it looks clear. Alright, so that's my median, and the maximum minimum weight, I'm going to put that in, so 53, so that's 60, so 53 is going to be there, and if I go along to that, 53, I'm going to draw my line there, and 186, that's 185, so 186 is one more along. Now I need to get two more bits of information, and the two more bits of information I need are the upper quartile and the lower quartile, and that means I need to go back to the cumulative frequency graph. If I position this here so that you could see the whole graph, how do I get the upper quartile and the lower quartile? I found the median. Now the lower quartile is a quarter of 60. A quarter of 60, halfway along here, is going to be 15, and I'm going to use the same technique that I used before. I'll go across from here and down to the scale below and read off that value. Now that value there, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so the lower quartile is 165. The upper quartile is going to be the upper quartile is going to be 3/4 of 60, which is 45. In other words, it's halfway along this, and same method as before. Go across from here to there and down again. And that is 175 over there. So the upper quartile is 175, the lower quartile is 165. I'm going to go across my other sheet here and I'm going to write that information here. Upper quartile is 175 and the lower quartile is 165. I'm going to put two more lines in to represent those. So there's 175 and there's 165. And now this is the completion of my box plot. There's my box, and there are the two lines going out to the minimum value and then going out to the maximum value, and that is my complete box plot with all the information given and all the answers there, and that's an easy 3 marks. Okay, part C now. In part C, if we just read the extra bit of information that they've given us here, Harry did not give fertilizer to the tomato plants in group B. Harry weighed 60 tomato plants from group B and he drew a box plot for this information. So here, this is for group B, and the ones we created before was for group A. Compare the distribution of weights of tomatoes from group A with the distribution of weights of tomatoes from group B. Now whenever you do a comparison, in this case here, we're going to compare these two box plots. And whenever you do a comparison of this sort, you always make 2 points. You always make 2 points. 1 point is for comparing the medians, that line in the middle, and the other point is to compare the interquartile range. The interquartile range is the size of the box in the middle. So in this case here, to work out the interquartile range, it's always upper quartile, take away lower quartile, and for this one here, it's 175, take away 165, which is 10. For this one here, the interquartile range, the upper quartile is 166, and the lower quartile is 158. So 166, take away 158 is 8. The other bit of information you need is the median, and we worked that out in part A as 170. And in this one here, the median is 162. So there are 2 marks for this, and the first mark, compare the medians. Okay, median for group A is bigger than the median for group B. That's it, and that's 1 mark. And then the second mark is comparing the interquartile ranges. And the interquartile range in group A is 10, the interquartile range in group B is 8. And that's all we need to say. The interquartile range in group A is bigger than the interquartile range in group B. And that's enough to get all the marks in that last part. This is a potentially pretty straightforward question. You need to know your stuff. You need to know about finding the upper quartile, lower quartile, median from the cumulative frequency graph. You need to be able to put the information on a box plot, and that's pretty standard. The minimum value, the maximum value, the lower quartile, the upper quartile, and the median, and then comparing them. And comparing them is, again, pretty straightforward. Always make one comparison for the median and another comparison for the interquartile range, and that will get you full marks in this.